have been hurt by this system and overtaxed and overregulated, the need to change the foreign policy and the need to defend our currency. But the needs are there and the problems are very evident, and I believe most Americans are waking up that they can't expect to find the answers with more government. It has to be found with less government, more emphasis on the individual, and more protection by our Constitution protecting our rights. And I continue to make this point, how freedom really works by bringing people together. That to me is the miracle of freedom. Freedom is not judgmental. It means that we want to respect everybody because we respect their freedoms, whether it's their personal lives or whether it's their religious values or their absence of their religious values. But if you want to change the world, we should do it by first changing ourselves. That's the most important thing. What we do is we release creative energy. We release this whole notion, who is responsible for promoting virtue? To me, that is what life is all about, doing our best to promote virtue. But what we have done is we have become dependent on the government for our economic well-being, but we think the government is somehow capable of promoting virtue. Once they get involved in that business, it leads to trouble, big trouble, because all of a sudden the virtue they talk about is not so virtuous. And when government takes that task of promoting virtue or promoting perfect equality economically, what they do is they only do it at the expense of liberty, which then undermines our prosperity. And this is where we are today. We're at a point now where the government and the welfareism and the socialism is all concentrating in Washington. Our pie is shrinking, and people are starting to realize it. So we see this as an opportunity. This should not be a point where you say, well, we can't do anything about it. But 20 or 30 years ago, when I first got involved in talking about this philosophy of liberty and emphasizing the Constitution, very few people would listen. Very few people heard it. But today, the country is alive with the enthusiasm, and it has a lot to do with you as individuals who have become aware of this. The information that has spread over the internet, the education that has occurred, the interest that has been expressed in Austrian free market economics. There's been a major transition. So if we look to Washington and get despondent, we'll never win. But the answers aren't going to be found in what we have currently in Washington. They are going to be found when you have a lot more to say about what kind of a government you want. Make the decision on the role of government. What we should have is what the founders gave us. That is a government that is there to protect our liberties, not to run our lives, not to run the economy, and not to police the world.